Right, we're starting with the punch. Emefiele heads for court as anger spreads over presidential ambition. Picture here of few queues resurfaces in Abuja and neighboring states. Lagos sacks abandoned vehicles, panel alleges extortion. Graduates stranded as Kwara Poly, NYSC mobilized imposter for service. Will soon reveal Imo killing sponsors, says Uzodimma. Imo governor mourns as Nzeribe dies at 83. ASU FG disagree over planned meeting. Nigeria loses 1.22 trillion naira to deficit oil production. Naira slumps to 595 naira to the dollar. Forex shortage persists. Okay, which story are we starting with?
So the Imo State's governor, Senator Hope Uzodimma, has said that he will soon reveal the sponsors of killings in the state in 2 weeks' time. So he spoke with journalists when he gave them this information, said that he has identified the politicians behind the insecurity in the state, and investigations by security agencies are currently ongoing. That he would have just gone ahead to mention their names, but after his meeting with the security agencies, they had warned that he shouldn't mention the names first because it would jeopardize the investigations that are ongoing. So he said that hopefully in 2 weeks' time, he'll be able to give us the names, and he is suspecting that the people involved are those who are against the APC political party. And so he also went ahead to talk about the Southeastern presidency, saying that it will be important, or it will be good for equity and justice, that the two major political parties present a Southeastern as their presidential candidate, that this will show that they are ready for zoning, because all the stakeholders, there's a sort of sympathy for zoning at the moment.
So the CBN governor, Governor Emefiele, is still trending, and that's after 3 key groups had bought him 100 million naira nomination form. That's the Rice Farmers Association, Friends of Emefiele, and the Emefiele Support Group had come together to buy him a form. And since then, it has been, there's been quite a lot of response to that. Many people have called for his resignation, that it was wrong for him to continue his role as CBN governor and then be running for office. And so he has since hired Chief Mike Ezekome, SAN, as his lawyer to help him interpret the Constitution based on the fact that if he's allowed to run for office, even as an appointed, as a governor of CBN. This is also, as many have already said, that he's not a member of any political party. However, the chairman of his ward, I'm trying to get the name here, came out to say that, no, he's actually a registered member of the APC in, I think it's Ward 6 in Ika South local government of Delta State. That's Mr. Nduka Erikpome. I confirmed that he's a member of the APC since February. So right now he has hired Zekome to see the constitutionality of his picking up a form and running for office, even as CBN governor. Many are fear that if you are the one owner of the purse, like the entire money is in your hand, and
money is finished.
You are done. You use it for politics, and we will now have you have an undue advantage. Yes, so we'll see how that plays out.
I want to take the story of the NYSC. This is serious drama. A graduate from Kwara Poly was stranded. She said she traveled 3 times to get a certificate from her school from Oyo to Ilorin. And then when she finally got a certificate and logged in to the NYSC portal at a cyber cafe, she got the information that her detail had been used already. And somebody had been mobilized based on her own information. So she was wondering, like, she's holding her own name. She found the person's picture. And then went to Facebook to the person's picture to trace the person's name as Grace. So the person actually, and she wrote a letter to the school, wrote a letter to the police, reported the situation, got to as far as DSS, and they said that they would go ahead with NYSC to demobilize the girl that was using her name and her details, only for things to stall at that point, and nothing had been resolved to now. So that's how she came to the papers.
She did the investigation work herself.
Yes, she even got the WhatsApp number of the girl and was chatting. The girl had changed her phone now, so she cannot reach the girl again. But the girl is serving under another person's details.
Hey!
This...
Please take it up.
Very.
You're done. So, former Senator Arthur Nzeribe has passed on. The Imo State governor describes it as a huge loss, his family, and so many people in Nigeria have sent their condolences. You know, he's described as the great Iroko tree that has fallen. He represented Imo State, Olu constituency at the Senate from May 1999 to May 2007. And for me, is that I remember in the early days of democracy, one of the names you keep hearing is Athens Zeribe. Very true.
In the news.
His soul rests in perfect peace.
Yeah. My dad used to mention that name. We're already in Zeribe. Okay, moving on quickly to The Nation. APC slams 9 conditions on presidential aspirants. Petrol scarcity, back in FCT. FG investors draw down 850 billion naira on claimed dividends fund. 2 expectant mothers held for drugs. Aviation workers begin warning strike. VC's wives shift parley. And ASUMO strike extension, protest in cities. Okay, who has the major headline? I think Mariam has that story.
Yes, I do. So the APC has given like 9 guidelines to all their presidential aspirants. And of the 9, I have a few that I wrote out. One is quite controversial for a lot of the aspirants. They're saying, so one, it says that is one of the guidelines that it has barred any one of them from going to court without first seeking in-house redress and ventilation of their grievances. So whatever happens, deal with it at home first. Until then, until you have exhausted that before you move on to go to court, then they are meant to sign undertakings to accept the outcome of the polls and support the person that emerges. I like that this is put out, you know, up front. Then they also to take an oath not to engage in any thuggery or any anti-party activities. Kudos, I love that. Then there's also a voluntary letter of withdrawal that they must sign before the commissioner for oaths. But many of them are uncomfortable with this, that because for them they feel it's like a booby trap in the sense that it will give the party the power to sort of impose a candidate on them if they were to sign this. So a lot of them have stalled on signing that party, on signing the whole thing because they just don't feel that there's it takes away their rights if they were to sign that. It gives the party too much power, and you know. So
I read a paper last week which was addressing that specifically. So it was supposed to be voluntary. So it's part of the form. But if it's voluntary, why would you make you sign it? I mean, you only sign it if you. So that's why it gets really... All right, another story in the Nation.
I was going to take the cues back in Abuja. So there's a challenge, allegedly 100 million naira debt that is being owed to the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria. The vice president of that association, Alhaji Abubakar Moigandi, said that this 100 billion debts owed to members of their association has caused a cash restraint. So they don't have the ability to buy more products. The reason they are owing this money is because there is a Petroleum Equalization Fund, which is like a bridge fund from transporting fuel from wherever you buy it from, which is largely down south, up to wherever you are buying, going to be selling in the north. And that the Petroleum Equalization Fund has now been defunct. They now have a Nigerian midstream, downstream petroleum regulation agency, and they've been making persistent demand on this over 12 months. Both the Petroleum Equalization Fund and the new agency haven't responded to them, and that's why queues are back up north.
Okay. Yeah, so the Committee of Vice Chancellor of Nigeria University Spouses, CVCNUS, their wives now. Yes, that was supposed to go for. That's what they call them. Yes, spouses. They were supposed to go to what's this country again? Turkey for their conference. Have postponed.
Because VC and the rest of the ladies.
It's not me, don't come.
I remember she guys took this story last week.
She took the story. They have postponed it, and they said the new date will be communicated to people. They apologize for every and any
apology accepted, wives.
And there are speculations that this postponement is as a result of the opera, like Miriam had quizzed them
because you see, that's why we like women leaders. They listen and they respond. Not like the men just like, what are they saying? Thank you, Jerry. Your apology is accepted. God bless you. So our president is really concerned about the certification, drought, degradation, rights, restoration. I mean, stuff that you're concerned about. So it's off to Côte d'Ivoire in Abidjan to attend a conference that will be held. It's called the Nations Convention to Combat desertification, which is really, it was a United Nations event. So it's off again, and I'm really happy that we are part of that conversation. But while we are having these conversations, let's remember that we have serious other issues.
Yeah, honestly.
Yes, we should change this to the next event.
Yeah.
Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue with the review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're moving on to Vanguard. Manufacturing sector stagnates. Do more to tackle insecurity, hunger, Catholic bishops tell leaders. Accident claims mother, children, police officer in Ibadan. Declare Buhari's pardon for Dariye Nyame illegal, Serap tells court. Why I haven't named those behind insecurity in Imo, says Uzodinma. Aviation union shut down flight operations in 2-day warning strike. UK excludes Nigerian graduates as it begins high potential visa application. ASU's warning strike ends today. Union may go to full-blown action. Bandits kill 55 in fresh Zamfara attacks. Okay, which story are we starting with?
A lot of strikes, you see. So the air travelers will not be able to travel because, according to the airline operators of Nigeria, they were supposed to start a strike for the 9th of May, which is today, but they have cancelled it because the federal government had promised to urgently attend to their needs. And one of the issues that they highlighted is the fact that aviation fuel is now about 700 naira per litre, which is making things difficult for them. But now that the federal government has promised that they are going to wade into the matter as fast as possible, they are relaxing the suspension and work will begin. Unfortunately, aviation workers on their own have decided to embark on a 2-day warning strike. So even when the airline operators are working, the people who are supposed to do the proper servicing will be at home for 2 days, saying that the federal government needs to attend to their needs. They have a lot of needs, and that they've been talking back and forth with the federal government, and nothing has been done. So this is just a warning. It may escalate or it may reduce depending on how the federal government attends to them.
When it rains, it pours.
ASU, two stories quickly.
Right.
ASU, on the other hand, they are supposed to have relaxed their... They have finished the extension of the 2-month strike that they had, but they are likely going to continue because, according to them, they said the federal government is not serious about attending to their needs, and they are going to insist on this strike. They are not relaxing because it seems they are not paying attention to, everybody's focusing on elections right now, and they are not paying attention to the students, that they would have thought of going back to school because parents and stakeholders are appealing that they come back to school. But if they go back to school, what will happen is the federal government will still relax and not do what it proposes to do.
Okay, so very quickly, go ahead.
Yes, Catholic bishops representing 16 countries of West Africa came together in Abuja, and, the topic of conversation was the problems of insecurity in the sub-region, poverty and hunger, and the place and the role that politicians, those in government, and us as a people, as Africans, need to play. The Archbishop of Abuja, His Grace, Most Reverend Ignatius Kaigama, his message was really to the politicians that they need to do more when it comes to insecurity, and that it's less talk and more action. And then for us, the people, we also need to do something concrete. It's not just about constantly worrying, but we need to do something about it. And to just say that for us as a people, as Africans, this is a collective responsibility, to do our best to make sure that these issues, insecurity, hunger, poverty of our people is really, sorted.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so the United Kingdom is launching something, or has launched something called high potential individual visas. Now, this is a visa for graduates of first degrees, masters, doctorate to travel to the country and work in fields such as technology, science, innovation, entrepreneurship by May 30th. That's when they're going to actually launch it. So the idea really is to get more people who are graduate, but the only problem is that the Nigerian graduates are exempted, as in those who graduated with Nigerian degrees are exempted, and this is because, according to them, I learned that the UK's action is against Nigerian graduates based on the fact that the Nigerian universities do not appear in any of the global rankings. And that's why we said.
Even our private universities?
But I think this is discriminatory, and the reason why I think so is because a substantial amount of the doctors that live in the UK or work in the UK had their first degree from Nigeria. So I think that those of you who work in the UK should object to this and find some way to ensure that, listen, we are here, we're working, and our first degree is from this Nigeria, and we're adding serious value. So it's highly discriminatory to say that Nigerian university, because we're not in the top ranking, we shouldn't meet this.
We shouldn't be collecting our doctors till tomorrow.
Exactly.
They're just not collecting others because the medical doctors are an essential need.
So I think Nigeria should be given a special status.
But I think they also retrain them when they get there.
Yeah, you do,
but not like from the beginning.
Of course not.
They are coming, they're bringing value, they're coming with training.
So I think this is highly, I think we should be reviewed actually, because Nigeria, we should give it a special
us too much.
Come on,
but major headline, there's the major headline with
manufacturing sector.
Yes, the manufacturing sector has been stagnant. So there was a review done by the GDP review, contribution of the GDP from different sectors, and the manufacturing sector has been stagnant, even went a bit down from 2019 to 2021. In 2019, they were like 9.6%, and they dropped below 9% in 2020, obviously because of the challenges, and even worse in 2021. While agriculture has maintained and grown, agriculture is contributing 26% to the GDP. Manufacturing is only contributing less than 9% in the past 3 years. Here are the challenges that we know about. Obviously, is the fact that there's a scarcity of forex. There's also difficulty in accessing credits. People don't get access to loan. Of course, there's power issue. There's the diesel issue. And all of these are contributing to the fact that manufacturing is reducing. I told you last week of how people are shutting down their companies. The manufacturing sector generally is a core a place where we can employ a lot of our population, and we need to pay attention to it if we want to reduce poverty.
All right, very quickly now, let's move to the point. Real reason for Southwest aspirants meeting unveiled. Man allegedly rapes housemaid for 6 years, impregnates her. Traditional ruler accused of child abduction, threat to life by wife. And APC battles discontent over zoning. And despite growth in cash disbursement to 3 tiers of government, Q1 Nigerians still grown. Okay, which stories?
I have the human interest story. So there's this man called Nelson Ogbonnaya Igwe, and he's been dragged before the Ebonyi Family Law Center by a family of a teenager that lives with him, or has lived with him for several years. She lived with his family from when she was 7. She was given to his family by her parents because they could not afford her education. And so they asked her to stay with this man and his family, you know, while they support her through school. And then she went in 2021 to stay with her parents for the Christmas holiday, and they discovered she was pregnant. She said that the man allegedly had been molesting her since she was 7. And that even though she could not tell her auntie, the woman is related to the family, she couldn't say anything to her auntie, and that when she went home, she also could not express herself what was happening to her. That was when she went back in December that her family found out that she was pregnant, and she explained to them what happened. So he had been dragged to court. He has denied it, and he says that a DNA test should be done on the unborn child. So what the family center has done now is, for the period that she's pregnant, you would take care of her, make sure you provide all the hospital bills and everything. Then when she has the baby, the DNA would determine whether you're the father or not. And then if he's not, everything he has put, you know, he has contributed to her well-being will be refunded.
Yeah. So the traditional ruler of
there was an abuse that happened. We need to find out who abused her.
Dikena Fai Idiato, South Local Government Area of the state, has been accused by his wife, Usinachi Obasi, of child abduction and threat to her life. So Mrs. Obasi is the second wife to this Royal Highness Festus Unwosu, and they were married in 2017. So according to the story, she said that he married her as a second wife. He didn't have any child with the first wife. And so she came to the house with 2 boys that she had had from her boyfriend and brought. So by the time she got into the house, she realized that the Royal Highness was maltreating her. He just didn't want to have anything to do with her. He wanted her to be serving the first wife, transferred the children to the care of the first wife. So I think he married her because of the children. He wanted to have those 2 sons for himself. And so the maltreatment was too much for her. At a point in time, she had to run away, because I said there was one particular night he came in with the cutlass and egg and was, you know, forcing her to take it, and then she escaped through the window, ran away. Since 2021 up till now, the Royal Highness hasn't come to look for her. So she took the matter to the family courts, and they had ordered that he appears before them and releases the children. So he drove her, she ran away, and the children has been with him since 2017. So she's saying that she needs her children back. He's not the father of those children. And normally, if you want to adopt children, there's a traditional right you have to perform.
And there's a legal way.
Yes, even the traditional way.
And the courts will say if she has the capacity to take up the kids, because if you run off, you might not have any job or something.
But no, they're not his children. He had the children outside.
Yeah.
So he would have done it traditionally. There's a right you have to go through with the consent of the wife. So they've reported the matter to the state. They have summoned him. As at the time of this report, he has not appeared.
Traditional, but we should also mention that legally you must do that through the courts. Adoption, just the traditional is not enough.
Moving quickly now to the Nigerian Tribune. Let's see how many stories we can take. Presidential race, odds against additional. I will fix Nigeria, says Saraki. Airline suspend planned shutdown of operations. I will bolster reward system in APC, says Tinubu. ASU may roll over strike. Arthur Nzeribe dies at 83. Supreme Court has cleared civil servants to participate in politics, Falana tells federal government. Okay, which story are we taking?
Headline.
Major headline.
So, the president of the Africa Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, has picked up his interest form. Not the, I think it's just to show his interest, and everybody is now saying the odds are against him because legally the section 38 of the agreement establishing the Africa Development Bank prohibits Adesina as the head from participating in politics. And he said he has to resign before he can serve in any political capacity within the country. Also mentioning that even those that were elected officials that are serving within AFDB in paragraph 3 also cannot serve unless take any partisan political position unless they resign from that position. So generally, anybody within AFDB cannot contest any political position in any country unless they resign from their position. That is the law. So they say it's not the law is not discriminatory against him. It is not prejudicial against anybody. It's just to help people focus their attention on what they are meant to do per time.
Okay, there was a story that actually caught my attention because we also saw the story where the head of service, Folashade Yemi, had asked civil servants actually to stay off politics, and she was relying on a legal opinion by Abubakar Malami of the Attorney General. However, Femi Falana SAN has rebuffed that, saying that according to like other citizens, workers are equally entitled by virtue of the Section 39 of the Constitution to freedom of expression, including freedom to hold opinions and to receive and impart ideas and information without interference. So he's countering what the Attorney General is saying, that they are allowed to actually be partisan if they choose to. We have to run. Is there any important story we have not taken?
Well, our former Senate President, Bukola Saraki, is running for president, and he went to Kaduna State to say that he's the best candidate. 2023 is not the time to vote for just anyone, but someone who's courageous, and he had proven that during his tenure as Senate President, where he stood his ground, and he says unity is what's important to rebuilding our country, and he's the person that stands for that, and the rest. Okay, that is all we can take on our front page review. When we return, we want our hot topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.